Hi, my name is Lynn Kendrick, and today I'm going to be doing my final doctoral presentation looking at the trends in education. Specifically, the purpose of the workshop today is to talk about trends in education in regards to students in the online environment. Before we can get a better sense of what's happening in the online environment, we need to take a look at the national trends. And there are 5 national trends that are very important when looking at the role of education. Trend number 1 talks about increases in tuition that have made college and universities less affordable for most American families. As we all know, we're in a time of a recession, and the cost of everything has gotten exceedingly more expensive. Therefore, college has also increased. Trend number 2 talks about federal and state financial aid to students has not kept pace with the increases in tuition. Tuition has risen, but the state aid that students get in order to pay for college hasn't been able to keep up with that pace. Trend number 3 states that more students and families at all income levels are borrowing more money than ever to pay for their college. So students who have come from wealthy families, students who come from poor families, all students are having to borrow because higher education has gotten so expensive, students can't afford to go. Trend number 4 talks about steep increases in public college tuition have been imposed during the hardest of economic times. From 2007 pretty much up till current, we are in a very hard economic time. And during these times, our tuition in universities has increased. Even our own tuition here at St. Thomas University over the past 4 years has increased since we've been students. So what's happening at the national level is also happening to us as students in this program. And the last national trend talks about state and financial support of public education has increased, but tuition has increased more. So the states themselves have been trying to do more to help with the cost of education, but the cost continues to rise at a level that the state can't keep pace. One of the more important pieces of legislation that's put in place is the Spellings Report from 2006. And basically, the Spellings Report looks at 4 trends common to all educational institutions. When looking at the Spellings Report and studying it and breaking it apart, we looked at 4 factors that are important to post-secondary education: access, affordability, quality, and accountability. In this report, when talking about access, the Spellings Report talks about how students are inadequately prepared, how they have lack of information about college opportunities, and financial barriers. Some of the things that we've already discussed with the 5 national trends. In regards to affordability, that was in the previous slide as well, where we talked about the cost of education. When talking about quality, it's also important to understand that students in American institutions do not have the quality that employers are looking for. Employers want students who know how to critically think, students who know how to research, how to find information. A lot of students coming out of college are not able to go into a job with skills that employers demand. And one of the last trends is that of accountability, where colleges and universities need to be more accountable to the federal government for what's happening with their students. At the state level, it's also important to look at what's happening. We've talked a little bit about the federal level and the national trends, so here's just a little information at the state level. As far as increases in tuition for public and private tuition, 2 important factors have been addressed. Does an increase in state support for higher education lead to more students getting a college degree? And number 2, does an increase in a state's production of college students lead to a corresponding increase in educational attainment in the state? One of the things that's very interesting about these 2 questions is I look at myself as a doctoral student. Originally, I came from the state of Michigan, got my degree at Michigan State University. And at that time, I was given federal funds from the state. However, I took my state degree and came to Florida for a job as well as to further my education. This is exactly what the states are talking about, where students will take their state degrees where they've gotten all the money from the state and then move to another state. So is that helping the state where the student first started? No, it's helping the state where the student may go at another point in time. So the cost of attending college for students is very important, and that's why these factors of affordability become important for the state level, because the states see students leaving their state and not continuing with jobs. Another important thing is that graduates will take their state degree out of state because there's not enough jobs for college graduates. So this becomes a problem at the state level. Specifically, because I am from Michigan and now I'm living in Florida, I thought it would be important to look at what's happening between both states in regards to money, in regards to federal aid. This chart right here gives you kind of an understanding of what's happening in 2-year public institutions, 2-year or 4-year public institutions, and 4-year private institutions between Michigan and Florida. What's interesting is that when I looked at the 4-year private institutions, even making a move from Michigan to Miami, was that the tuition increase here in Florida are substantially higher than those in Michigan. 4-year private institutions, the tuition went up 17%. However, here in Florida, it's increased 27%. So the high would be $11,506, where in Miami, Florida, the high would be $14,113. As you can see, the cost of education here in the state of Florida is considerably more. When you look at the median income, people in the state of Michigan, the median income has increased 22%. You're talking between $58,000 to $70,000. Here in the state of Florida, the median family income has increased 8%, and you're talking about $52,000 to $56,000. Again, a huge difference between the two states, where Florida has become a little bit more expensive to go to school when you're looking at private institutions. Talking a little bit more about students and education. There has been a growth and change in the past 10 years in regards to education. There's been an increase in the number of people in college. More people want to go to school. Education has been one of those things that in a good time it's a good thing, and in bad times it's a good thing. Students want to go to school to further their education, to be able to either keep their job or to get a better paying job. The demographics of our college students are also changing. We have a lot of women in college, a lot more women than there used to be, a lot more minorities than we used to have, a lot of single parents, a lot of working professionals. According to PACE 2007, 70% of all students in college are the first generation of college grads. And this is very important as we look forward to the 21st century to see what's happening. These students are also what we call non-traditional students. And these are students who have delayed enrollment. These students may have left college, may have started and had families, and then decided they needed to come back in order to keep a job or to get a better paying job. These are students that typically will have part-time attendance, under 6 credits, maybe taking 1 class per term, maybe 1 3-credit class, or maybe 2 3-credit courses. But typically you're going to find that they're part-time students. They are financially independent, so they can afford to go to college. However, they still do need to rely on the state for federal aid. Most of these students also have families, and they're working professionals. And this is what you're going to start to see a lot of students that are comprised of this definition. In regards to non-traditional students, their motivations for wanting to go to college are also very different from what we would call the traditional student. Non-traditional student, as far as age, if you want to kind of get a picture of what they are, we're talking about students between the ages of 25 all the way up to 70. These are the non-traditional, not right out of high school students. So of course, their reasons and motivations for wanting to go to college are severely different. They have high motivation. They have a financial investment. Most of these students are going back to school in order to increase their financial investment in themselves, to be able to make more money to support their families. They want career development. Non-traditional students typically want to be able to move into a different career, move into management, move into middle management or upper management. A lot of them are looking for a life transition. Maybe they've worked something for 20 years and now they want to do something different. And it's also looking at these students from the social perspective, from a social system, because school can be seen as a social environment where people can interact with others that are interested in the same thing. A lot of non-traditional students, because they all have a lot of these same factors in common, will seek each other out when it comes time to work for group projects or reports or things of that nature. Specifically now, we're going to start talking about the trends in education in regards to non-traditional students in the online environment.